rogues regiment Vincent next appeared in the 1948 swashbuckling adventure tale, The Three Musketeers. Based on the famous novel by André Dumas, our story begins in the year 1625 in the village of Gascogne, where young adventurer D'Artagnan, played by Gene Kelly, is setting out to make his way in the world. Armed with his father's sword and letter of recommendation to the Musketeers, D'Artagnan is advised to accept no insult from any man. He takes this advice to heart, as he immediately runs afoul of the escorts for Milady de Winter, played by Lana Turner. He challenges her head henchman to a duel, but before the battle can commence, he is struck from behind and knocked unconscious, and robbed. Once he arrives in Paris, the young hothead quickly runs afoul of all three of the famed musketeers: Athos, played by Van Heflin, Porthos, played by Gig Young, and Aramis, played by Robert Coote, scheduling duels with all three in the same afternoon to settle their differences. However, when they meet at the appointed time, their duel is interrupted by a troop of First Minister Richelieu's guards, who attempt to arrest all four men on the grounds that dueling is illegal. A battle ensues, and the Musketeers are impressed with young D'Artagnan's bravery and fighting prowess, and forego their duels and take him under their wing. First Minister Richelieu, whose men were just trounced thoroughly, is played by Vincent Price. He is ever scheming and plotting for political power and control. Later that evening, D'Artagnan saves his landlord's goddaughter Constance, played by June Allison, from an attack from Richelieu's men. Turns out she is a maid and trusted confidant of the Queen, played by Angela Lansbury. She is also helping protect the secret that the Queen is having an illicit affair with the Duke of Buckingham, Prime Minister of England, played by John Sutton, and has given a set of 12 studded diamonds to the Duke as a keepsake.
I shall treasure these as I treasure my dearest recollections of you, Anne. As I treasure the anticipation of our next meeting.
The problem is that Richelieu has arranged a banquet where the Queen's jewels are expected to be displayed, and if they aren't there, the Queen's affair could be exposed and the threat of war between their countries a real possibility. Constance asks for D'Artagnan's help in retrieving the jewels before the banquet. D'Artagnan agrees, and upon hearing of his plight, his fellow musketeers decide to join him.
It's all for one, D'Artagnan, and one for all.
And from there, the adventure begins in earnest, full of sword fights, romance, and court intrigue. The Three Musketeers was directed by George Sidney, who is very familiar with leading actor Gene Kelly, having previously directed him in 4 pictures, 3 of them musicals. Made by MGM in 1948, this was the first color adaptation of the André Dumas source material. Gene Kelly, of course, is best remembered nowadays as a dancer and choreographer, and his best known film is, arguably, Singing in the Rain, which was made 4 years after this picture. His dancing experience is put to good use in this film, as the elaborate fight sequences are well choreographed, and Kelly's athleticism and agility are put on display through a variety of flipping, leaping, and jumping moves throughout the film. Vincent Price is excellent as the ominous Richelieu. My only complaint is that I wish he had a bigger role in the film. He only appears a few times in brief scenes with very little to do throughout the film. However, he positively oozes menace in the few scenes that he's allotted. Oddly, in this version, he isn't a cardinal, however, as in the book, but rather First Minister of France. MGM changed his title, dropping the cardinal for fear of upsetting Catholic viewers. Vincent would go on to reprise this role in the 1960 made-for-TV version of The Three Musketeers in the Family Classics series. In that version, however, his religious title would be fully restored and he would once again be Cardinal Richelieu. Overall, the tone of this film is a bit uneven, frequently flipping back and forth between camp comedy and serious drama. The plot is overlong and complicated, as is the runtime, clocking in at over 2 hours. Three Musketeers is a film that, quite honestly, can't decide what it wants to be, action or comedy, and the end result is a bit of a sprawling mess. It's still worth watching, however, for Vincent's scenes and the excellent fight sequences. Next up for Vincent was more film noir action in The Bribe.
Oh, I do enjoy an evening with a little light entertainment. But when your video heads get dirty, you lose your picture. Not a pretty sight. Happily, this new Polaroid video cassette will help you. It actually cleans your heads as it plays, so dirty heads needn't haunt you. New Polaroid video cassettes. Get the picture?